What's up, guys? Back for another BrokenGrandAm series. This time we're going to talk about windows. My car has a bad window clip, which is a plastic piece that goes on the bottom of the glass and connects to the regulator. I'll also go over other problems and how to go about changing like the regulator, motors, switches, etc. Anything you can pretty much find wrong with the window systems in these cars. Now, as far as the guts, it'll transfer over to Aleros and Malibus. But as far as when I show tearing apart the door panel, it's going to be completely different. So if you have a Malibu Alero, you're on your own because I don't have either one. But once you get past your door panel, you're golden because the regulators, the windows, all that is the same. I actually put an Alero window in my brother's GrandAm. Same thing. I haven't personally matched up a Malibu one, but it looks almost identical. Also, feel free to, any of you guys want to go to the junkyard and do that for me if I don't ever get a chance to, and throw down in the comments that if it does or doesn't for clarification. But for sure, Alero stuff does carry over, and as far as regulator, that is all three cars. So let's get started. So as far as where everything gets power from on your passenger side, tailored to your flap, the only thing powering the system is a circuit breaker, which is this silver guy right here. That is the sole thing that powers the entire, whether you have 2-door, 4-door, that's all you have. So if they don't have power for whatever reason, I would go after that first.
As far as wiring, as I'm sitting here looking at this book, everything runs to this main switch panel before all the others. Same thing with 2 doors, it'll go through your driver one before your passenger one. So, if you have something wrong, there could also be something wrong with this guy. Even if something as simple as if this is unplugged, the rest will not work. Also, if this thing goes bad, it will not work. I've had them where the contacts go bad inside there and it gets stuck on lock. So be sure to check, your wiring and make sure that's all good. Store just inside, there'll be plugs. Something like that comes off, another thing, but door locks, speakers, stuff like that won't work also. Back doors also will have that. Just inside the B pillar will be plugs.
So first things first is messing with these windows is getting the door panel off. Like I mentioned, this part is going to be GrandAm specific. Once we get past this, it'll be a little more broader, and you Lara and Malibu guys that are watching will help you out too. Now, to start, grab yourself a Phillips. You got a Phillips here to get the beauty ring off. Down in here, there's a Phillips deep inside there. Also grab a flathead. You're going to want to pry this reflector off. There's a Phillips screw under there. And then under here, pry this up, pry from the top. That's where the little notch is. And there's also a Phillips in there. Good, pop off your tweeter, or if you have an SD that does the same thing, it just pops off just like that. So if you ever wanted to add tweeters, it's the same way it goes in there. So you could swap that out if you wanted to. If you have the tool, it's like a long screwdriver with a wide flat blade and a little divot that you can actually sneak behind here and individually pop these things. Now they do have just below the handle on the 4 doors and I believe it's about the same spot in the two-door. I can double check on mine, but there's actually a little like groove you can stick your hand in and get behind. So when you do that, like forcefully but not too aggressively, you kind of pry out and they'll start popping. Now I say forcefully but not aggressively because if you do kind of yank that first one, I see them rip a lot right above the handle. It'll split right there like a seam. Then the idea after that is kind of like follow it, and when it starts getting tight, just do that same little pop, and they'll pop loose. Kind of run across, and voila. On a driver's side one, driver's side front on a 4-door, or just driver's side on a 2-door, when you take your panel off, you need to disconnect your trunk button. It sits up underneath the handle. Just a quick little flathead screwdriver will pop that out. This just sits on there. And take note that the felt will go against the window when you put that back on there. This in particular, you either find foam, carpety looking stuff, or plastic. Those two are the factory ones. Now that's all out. We'll go ahead and get the window out, which is what I'm changing in particular. Some of the older cars, this was another 3. I see some of the newer ones are already bolts. I've also seen some that come with rivets. Now my suggestion is if you have either a bad motor or a bad regulator, they're cheap enough. You just buy as one. It's like 25 bucks. You get the regulator with the motor. It's a lot easier than trying to drill out and re-screw things in. And just cheaper, easier, way better. So, having said that, especially if I'm just like changing a window with bad clips, which I'll kind of show and explain here in a second, I'll take the motor off and then just push the window down myself versus trying to turn the key on and plug everything back in. So, with all of these in the regulator, it's all a 10mm. This is just use a deep socket because these guys are nuts. So take this off. Okay, that pops out. I'll have it out. These pretty known to go bad. One thing is like you'll be pushing, you know, say you're putting your window down. Window down is not too bad. Going back up, it'll kind of like slow down or it'll stop and your switch won't work, you know. Give it like 15 minutes, come back and it starts working again. That's this thing, it's overheating in here. That's a bad motor. Again, like I said, just change the whole regulator and everything. I mean, if you want to just do a motor or power to you, as you saw, it's real easy. 3 volts, unplug it, plug a new one in, good to go. Okay, so to get our window out, this one's, I broke this bolt already, but that was, like I said, I was already in here changing that lock. But so yeah, a bolt there and a bolt here, and as you see with the motor out, it's a lot easier to get to. Again, 2 10mm, but like I was saying with the whole, see how it goes crooked. Sometimes going down, you'll see this get hung up. Pretty good indicator that this thing's broke off, which when I get this out, I'll show you the part that is supposed to be there that's not anymore. This way to do this, pry down about 3/4 of the way. Make sure you have those 2 bolts out. You kind of pick up at an angle out of the wood. Be gentle, don't force, and it'll come out. Okay, so this is what it should look like. This is where that screws into from your regulator, which I have a regulator sitting here that I have a spare. So essentially the bolt will go through this and screw into that. and here's what a broken one looks like. The whole bottom half just snaps off. I've also seen where actually the glue comes off. Not sure why. Now you can buy these clips. I'm not a fan of doing that, but I actually did do it on my car, my two-door. One of these came off, everything was intact, so I ended up using GB Weld, and it actually holds up really well. That was almost 3 years ago I did that. So that's an idea. While your regulator's out, something to check out. Make sure these tracks are in good shape. If the window seems to drag a little bit, you can always put a little bit of white lithium grease, you know, from there all the way down the tracking. That'll help kind of loosen it up a little bit. Just a little bit. But typically, as long as it's going up and down freely, not giving you issues, you're fine. That's only if it's going up and down slow and doesn't seem to be the motor, or if you change the motor and it's still going up and down slow. You know, if you're in here, throw some grease in there. It won't hurt. White lithium is usually what most people use. So you need to take this guy out first. That'll fall out. This guy right here. Just like that. The two on top, you just loosen. One guy in the center, you have to actually take out. Just up and out, and it'll have given it. So you just kind of bend it, fold it. Get one side out, fold it just straight, it will follow. Then get your new one, and same thing. I usually try to fold it and put them like the same way. Put that one in first, put the one with the gear on second, kind of slide it down, and turn it, and then you can pick one side up, and stick it back through. This guy, same thing, and just kind of reverse it. Again, take it at an angle. Make sure it's falling into its grooves. And just make sure it falls onto the regulator. Now, again, make sure this goes back in. This is quite a bit of structure in the door, plus it holds onto the cables so they don't flex or anything. Motor back on here. I gotta lift it up a little bit. Again, make sure this goes on with the felt towards the window. So you're gonna want to feed this stuff through. Again, if it's a driver's side. Make sure you plug back in your trunk button. Otherwise you'll be, but it's not like sitting flush. Now there's like little guides, so kind of push up a little bit, and you'll see it. Just kind of give it some taps, and then just wrapping everything up. It goes behind there, and the one behind here. Got front of the driver behind there. Black goes with black. We want to go with the white. Alright, so that wraps up another fix-it video. What I like to call the BrokenGrandAm series. Stay tuned for the next one. Watch for the videos. I got a whole video on this guy, some fixes we did after we bought it. Not too bad. Car's still doing good. She commutes with it up to Cleveland and back, which is about an hour from us. And it's been a great car. But yeah, thanks for watching again. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.